Jake, tell us about yourself and what motivated you to run for the Arizona State Legislature.
So I've been in the Army for 21 years, 4 years active, the last 17 in the National Guard because I love serving and helping people. Was a financial statement auditor for 15 years, making sure that the public good is represented as well as private interests, corporate interests, serving people. And some of the things I've seen in politics over the last few years, people being too divisive, unable to get along, even if they see a good policy, have just driven me to say we need to bring back some sanity and some normalcy to the world of politics. And I think with my background in the military, educationally, business community, and within civic organizations that I serve in, I would be the perfect candidate, the perfect legislator to do such a thing.
What professional or personal experiences best prepare you to represent the business community in Gilbert and the East Valley?
Well, so either military or I would go with the financial statement auditing is you need to take care of your teams. You need to take care of, so it would be the same, taking care of constituents while still getting the job done and making sure that the best possible product comes out of it. So meeting the needs of your team while still accomplishing the goals, which the goals are to help the people of Arizona and the people of Legislative District 13, which of course includes Gilbert. Same with the military. Sometimes you work with people that don't agree with you on things, but at the end of the day, you have the same mission and the same end state that you need to work together with to accomplish. Otherwise, things can go really bad really quickly.
Arizona has built a reputation as a pro-business state. What policies do you believe are most important to maintain Arizona's economic competitiveness and ensure that businesses continue to invest and create jobs in Gilbert and throughout the state?
So the first thing is that, yeah, we have a winning tax rate in Arizona. The 2.5% flat tax will bring people in. It will bring businesses in. It's bringing them away from higher tax locations. Some of the things I think that we can do to maintain is continue working on improving infrastructure and improving some of the things that where we might be lacking. Um, so we're bringing in a lot of high tech jobs, and that's great. We're bringing in not necessarily in Gilbert, but TSMC, which is going to have an effect throughout the valley, both valleys, east and west. We're bringing in a lot of improvements of the high tech world here, but we need to be able to keep up with it as well. And I think some of the policies that we have um, to and should be able to, or should be working to improve that infrastructure and those logistics to support the jobs that we're bringing in.
Thank you, Jake. What role should the legislature play in strengthening workforce pipelines through K-12 education, community colleges, universities, and career training programs?
Well, I think the legislature should set the standards on what is required with STEM and for the future with K-12 as well as post high school in both the trades and within the universities. For K-12, it's getting that good baseline knowledge to every student so we can build the workforce of the future that's ready to take on all challenges. Then when they start to branch out to their areas of interest, whether it's going into trade school, getting their associate's degrees, even going to universities, then they should be focused on more towards what they're going to be doing in the real world. And so some of the programs, like one that my company is working on, is quantum computing engineering with University of Arizona. So that's trying to set us up for the workplace of the future and set up students for the workplace of the future. Same, we should be pushing several of these programs throughout the state, and the legislature can create those guidelines and create those the legislation to support that.
Regarding infrastructure, what role should the state play in supporting transportation and water infrastructure and other key systems necessary for continued business growth?
So for infrastructure growth and transportation growth, the state needs to get out of Maricopa County's way. Right now, there's a law against spending without approval of the state legislature within Maricopa County for transportation and infrastructure, and it's usually severely limited. And there is also a constitutional amendment in the Arizona Constitution that says that municipalities can only spend a certain amount, and the legislature needs to figure out a way to change that base rate because infrastructure spending is significantly limited by these rules. And on the other side, with water, especially, the state needs to focus on where the water is needed the most and fighting against other states, like in the Colorado River Basin, to get what is our proportional share. We've never had our proportional share because other states have always been states longer and more powerful than Arizona, but we are one of the fastest growing states in the nation, so we should be able to have that ability to procure more of a percentage of resources, but also work with, say, California or Sonora for their desalination and some of the other options that we can do to procure more water as well.
Perhaps building on that last question, and you may have already answered this, but would you please provide a specific or a different specific transportation or infrastructure project that you feel is important to our community?
Different.
Doesn't have.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of community-based transportation projects that can work. I know, for example, that Scottsdale has their own trolley buses that work, and other places I've been to, it's whatever the local solution is the best solution because that's what the people who live there want. And my goal is to stop the state legislature from controlling municipalities, specifically within Maricopa County, because it's the only county that's subject to these rules. So I want the states, the county and the municipalities to determine if they have the money and spend it on improving their transportation infrastructure.
Thank you. Next topic, housing. When it comes to housing availability and workforce housing, what policies, if any, should the state consider in stating to improve housing supply, all while maintaining appropriate roles for local communities in planning and zoning decisions?
Well, I'll go back to the infrastructure rules that we have on improving transportation and infrastructure at the state level. That's hamstringing the ability of municipalities to expand, because if you can only spend so much on utilities and you can only spend so much on infrastructure improvement, you're not going to be able to build all of the housing that you would like. I understand that there's some contention between state rules and city rules, but I think the state can support certain types of housing and certain types of things within housing that will what's it called? Sorry, I lost the word. That will promote building of more housing and more efficient housing. A few of those things that I've seen are with like incentives away from lawns, stuff like that, things that don't waste water, so we can build more because if we don't have to procure as much water, or the planting of native trees, which can cool things down and save people and utilities and provide more housing with less electric requirements.
Well, and you touched on this a little bit between federal and state, but how do you view the balance between state authority and local making decision making when it comes to economic development, housing, and business regulations?
Say that again. So
Okay, so
economic
how do you,
development,
yeah,
I
how do
think
you
the
feel the
state should
balance between state and local decision making when it comes to those things?
I think the state should stay out of most local economic decision making unless similar to federally, if it's between two municipalities like Gilbert and Chandler, then the state should be able to at least step in and say, okay, we're going to help find the best solution for both instead of two sides fighting against each other. But like I know Gilbert and Chandler and others do business development on their own, and the best way is potentially is for the state to stay out of their business development and promote everything Arizona. And then the other pieces, sorry.
Well, and just can you share a specific issue you hope to champion when it comes to the balance between local and state?
Oh yeah, well, the restriction on infrastructure and transportation spending that the state legislature chose to implement in 1999 within Maricopa County that hamstrings our ability to build better transportation and utilities infrastructure. Like that's a local decision. There have been several propositions passed within Maricopa County at Maricopa County level and within Maricopa County for tax revenue that I know municipalities have that they cannot spend because they're limited. So that's one thing that I would definitely love to get rid of so we can stop holding ourselves back.
Gotcha. What role should the legislator play in supporting responsible water management while ensuring that communities like Gilbert can continue to attract businesses and residents?
Right. Like I mentioned, incentives to have natural landscaping, natural desert landscaping instead of lawns, which use about is like 110 gallons for every 1,000 square feet per day to have a lawn in Arizona. That's a significant amount of water. And then the same thing with promoting native trees that will grow without water, such as like willows and others that are not as well. If you want the spiny trees, you can have those, but there are others that are more friendly as well that can reduce not only water usage because they don't require water, but they also reduce other utilities rates and save electricity, save water.
Well, and for our last question, what is one policy issue affecting Arizona business community that you believe the legislator should prioritize over the next 2 years?
The business community. Say that. Sorry.
Yeah, no. What is one policy issue affecting Arizona business community that you believe the legislator should prioritize over the next 2 years?
So I think the legislature should prioritize infrastructure improvement, both utilities, water, all of that, and allow cities to do that as well, so that we can build out for the future. Arizona is still expanding. Arizona is like massively growing, but the infrastructure is falling behind in several ways with roads, with public transportation, with our water, gas, sewer, everything that we need to be able to promote that if we're going to continue to have business growth within Arizona, but also the East Valley.